everyone, and welcome to this edition of the Wine Styles Ankeny 10-Minute Tasting. We figured with the weather getting warmer and all of you looking forward to boating and lake and barbecue season, we would chat a little bit about canned wines today. So with that, Paul, can you tell us a little bit about the start of the canned wine craze, I guess we could call it?
Absolutely. Beverages in cans are really a normal thing in American society. Obviously, soda, beer, we expect to see it in cans, but with wine, it's a little bit different. We expect to see wine in a bottle, and wine in a can has actually been around for over a decade. It actually started commercially in Oregon back in 2005. The Union Wine Company actually started developing the idea of canned wine, and it really hit the market, I think, in 2012 or 2013. And their idea was to put their wines that they would normally put in a bottle, so these are not bottom shelf wines, these are their normal premium wines, but their idea was to make it more portable, make it good for a picnic, make it good for around a pool in places where maybe a bottle of wine wouldn't work as well.
Absolutely. Ryan Harms is actually kind of the, preeminent person that brought the canned wines onto the scene with Union Wine Company, and I listened to a podcast with him recently, and he really wanted to kind of make sure that wine was approachable, and they started this whole fun campaign called Pinkies Down, which I just love. So instead of kind of that hoity-toity thought about wine, they wanted to make sure that wine was approachable. And also being from Oregon, he enjoyed outdoor activities, and he noticed that a lot of the stories that he and his friends talked about when they would be hiking or camping didn't involve wine, but that was such a big part of his life. So we thought, how can I bring wine to those stories? And that's kind of where part of the can idea came from. Cheyenne, so obviously people come into the store and we talk a little bit about canned wine to them, and oftentimes we get this really crazy look like, why would I want a can of wine? Can you talk to us a little bit more kind of about why picking up a can off the shelf is a great idea?
Yeah, so for one, canned wine is actually not an abomination at all to the wine industry. The quality has gone up tremendously since 2005. I mean, like you said, Union Wine Co. has been canning their own premium wines, and that just goes to show that these are premium wines. They're not going to just be some bottom shelf wine.
Yeah.
But it's a really good way to be able to take wine wherever you want to go. If you're like me, I tend to gravitate more towards wine as opposed to beer or a different alcoholic beverage, and it just reminds me of this one time when I was hiking in New Zealand and a bunch of French people brought bottles of wine on the trail, and I was like, it would have been a great idea to have a can of wine. I mean, but it's so portable, and it's great for picnics, it's great for boating season, it's great for if you are on the trail or if you don't necessarily want to commit to an entire bottle of wine.
That's a great point, because you can try something and not have the full bottle and see if you like that.
Yeah,
exactly.
and that's an interesting point too, and we should probably talk about it. This, when we look at a 12-ounce can, I think we think of a beer mostly, or a soda, and it would be pretty typical for a can to be a serving size. But we have to remember with wine, this is actually two glasses, two full glasses, or 6-ounce pours of wine. So when you're having a can of wine, just drinking it like a Bud Light probably is not a good idea. We have to remember that it still is wine. It still is in the 12 to 14% alcohol range.
Absolutely.
Yes. And another really great thing about canned wine is the fact that it is very environmentally friendly. Not only for some reason, people are more inclined to recycle a aluminum can as opposed to a glass bottle. Right. So it's a great way to keep the wine industry more sustainable. And on top of that, since cans weigh less than glass, it cuts costs not just for the wineries, but they're able to pass those savings on to the consumer.
Right.
And they are also able to cut down on their carbon emission and just make, again,
The transport costs, when you compare a case of wine and how heavy a case of wine is versus what you would find the same volume of wine in cans, it's a fraction of the weight. So you're saving money on shipping. And aluminum is the #1 recyclable in the United States. So, it was interesting. I was looking at some of the different recycling or products that can be recycled. Aluminum can be infinitely or repeatedly recycled, and it doesn't lose any quality. So it comes out the same as it was when it was brand new, even if the can has been recycled 100 times. So interesting points.
That is. We still have to sometimes get over that perception that it might not be as sexy or have that same ambiance as popping that cork. But I think, again, the understanding, as both Cheyenne and Paul mentioned, that it is high quality wine. Many of these wines, for example, focusing kind of on the Underwood Union Wine Company, as well as our house wine, is the exact same wine that they're putting in their bottle that you would very happily pull off of a shelf. So I think with that knowledge, you can feel a lot more confident that you're going to get a great wine also. But with that being said, while at a beach on that hike, it is really, really nice and convenient to be able to drink it out of the can. It's always good also to, if you're sitting around the pool or in a place where you do have the availability of a glass or a plastic vessel, to actually pour it from the can to the vessel. That helps you kind of, as Paul mentioned, keep track of that, or that perception of we're not chugging it down like we might our Diet Coke or our beer. But also, one downside of the can is you can't get that nice big smell. So you don't have the nice round opening to get that great aroma from the wine. And as we know, and I know, Paul, you talk about this a lot in our kind of Wine 101 classes and our tastings, a smell is a huge part of taste and enjoyment of the wine.
Absolutely, and that is one of the drawbacks in the can. You're going to lose some of the sensory perception of the wine. So what we recommend, again, on a trail, it's kind of fun. You get to the top of the hill and you did a big hike and you can pop the can and have it. And I think that's a perfect place for canned wines. But around the pool, on the boat, these are great because you can have the same sensory perception of the wine through the nose and the smell, and even looking at the color, which is an important part of sensory perception or wine tasting. And so, things like, there's all kinds of tumblers and with lids and without lids that are available and that we carry, and they really are nice. They're safer around the pool, and they still allow you to have that premium wine experience.
Absolutely. As you can see, or you might not be able to see real well, but we have lots of different varietals laid out here. We have even more cans in the store, but it's great too that no matter what kind of flavor profile or varietal you gravitate to, you can probably find it in a can. I know, Cheyenne, we talked before, the house wine, the Sauvignon Blanc, is just phenomenal.
Yes, it's perfect for when you just get done mowing, crack one open. Perfectly refreshing, but it's just so nice and citrusy, and if you are wanting to bring that on a boat, it's a great option. It pairs perfectly with the hot summer days that are ahead.
Yes. I love that you mentioned too, and I don't know if you intended this, but after cutting the grass, because one of the great smells and aromas that you can get from Sauvignon Blanc and that we kind of look for is that cut grass smell. And this one definitely, along with the citrus that you mentioned, I think has a little of that cut grass too. So just like they say, pair food from the region with your wine from the region, pair your wine with your activity that you're doing. So that fits perfect.
And over the past 10 years, canned wine has gotten, the perception of it has become more acceptable and it's become more popular. Actually, the growth is, I think it was 20% growth in the last 5 years in canned wine. So a lot of different things are available, including sparklings. And this sparkling wine is really nice out of a can. I think it preserves the essence maybe a little bit better than a cork because oxygen can't get in. Which brings us to, if we're being really picky about a can, the wine is not going to age in a can. It doesn't have any oxygen exposure. It's completely sealed, unlike a cork where there's a little oxygen exposure around the sides of the cork. So we're not going to have Bordeaux, ageable wines in cans. But for the the wines that are canned are just perfect examples of fresh, usually crisp wines that you want to drink. Young.
Absolutely. I love that you brought up the bubbles too, because I know we have a lot of bubble drinkers out there, and if you happen to be the only bubble drinker in your house, you can absolutely drink the whole bottle at one time, but may not always be the best option or best idea. And so this allows you to have those bubbles, like you had mentioned too, without investing in that entire bottle.
Yes.
And obviously you can cork that, and it will maintain some of that fizz and effervescence for a day or two, but not the same.
Yeah, not the same.
So when you're headed to the beach or headed out back to the pool, we encourage you to save a little bit of space in the cooler. You can fit a few of these in and try a few different things. They stack in there just like the Bud Light and Diet Coke does, so they should go well with any of the outdoor activities, be it a picnic or boating or just out by the pool.
Yeah, and we're going to quickly try the Underwood Pinot Noir that we've been talking about. And I've had this several times, and I love it. It's a great summer red, too. It's a nice, light body, just great aroma.
And it's really a premium Willamette Valley, Oregon Pinot Noir. So everything you would expect from that region.
It's very nice and light and perfect for summer.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Very good.
Well, hopefully we've enticed all of you to try something new with canned wines, and when you come in the store, just ask us where they're at. We can point you in the right direction, and going to be great for all those summer barbecues, boating, and camping. And with that being said, we hope you all have a wonderful summer, and we'll see you back next week.